Greetings, route back. Greetings out there. Route back. Greetings to all those who are current and all those who are new. Students of Wu Sabat, greetings. Rahul Bat, Muisar, and greetings to our NoopooH, or greetings to our YouTube Live family out there. For those who do not know me, my name is Peti Sina Tebtu Re'e, and I've been a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Panabab Yananan, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture of Wu Sabat or Wu Nuwap. And he's been teaching us this ancient culture now for over 50 some odd years. And Wu Nuwap and Wu Sabat is about teaching our people to get back to living in harmony with natural nature, getting back to making decisions based on sound, right reasonability, due to the fact that our people have gotten away from making decisions based on sound, right reasonability. We argue that the challenges and suffering that our people are dealing with in the world today is due to their decision-making skill sets. It's really bad. It doesn't reason out. And our ancestors, when they made decisions, it was based on sound reasoning. It was based on being in harmony with natural nature, based on the principles of Ma'at. And the principles of Ma'at was all about having order in our society. And as you can see today around the world, Black people as a whole are not living in order. In fact, we're out of order. And in order to have order, you have to have balance. It's what we taught in the principles of Ma'at. And in order to have balance, you have to have justice. And in order to have justice, you have to have righteousness. You have to have the righteousness. And where do you learn righteousness from? The wisdom of Tahuti. This is what our ancestors taught. And by embracing the wisdom of Tahuti, this is where our ancestors learned righteousness. And when you're righteous, then you will be just. And when you're just, Your decisions will be just and they'll balance out. And when things are balanced, you have order. And this is the basis of our culture. This is how we used to live. And we've gotten away from that due to the fact that our people are under a hypnotic spell of what we call Leviathan for the last 6,000 years. And our job as students of Panabab Yananan is to help our people get back to sound reason and to help our people get back to making decisions based on sound right reasonability. Now, as I said last week, and what I'll be doing in the beginning of all of our discussions is our prayer systems. And doing these lectures, one of the main things that we have to introduce you guys into is into our spiritual systems of our ancestors and how we were able to develop ourselves spiritually. We argue one of the challenges that our people are dealing with is due to their spiritual ignorance. It's something I've been talking about for the past few weeks. And we have to get back to our spiritual knowledge. We have to get back to our spiritual knowledge. And the key to dealing with our spiritual systems, understanding our prayer systems, understanding that we say our prayers in our language. So I'm going to do these prayers out in our language. And you guys can follow. For those who are familiar with our language, you guys will understand. For those who are new, who are not familiar with it, you could just read on the screen because the translations are right there. So I'm going to bring this up. And so I can get into it. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. All right. Now, so I have the, let's see, prayer system. Hold on for a second. Let me fix this real quick, so you guys would see that. Let's go here. Okay, now that's correct. So I'm going to go through the prayer system, and you guys, you can follow as I go through. I'm going to say it in our language, which is Sabaic, and you guys can follow. The English translation is right below, right? And if for those who are interested in getting a copy of the prayer system, I have no problem emailing it to you guys, so you can take your time to learn. We will be going over the alphabet in these classes, so you guys will learn how to properly enunciate the words and actually and learn to read the language in our actual alphabet, or what we call harufat. Okay, and so I'm going to start with our prayers. Begin all prayer and thinking by thinking of Pa Pa'ut. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk M Pa Pa'ut. Wu Kalat Ashuk Kawum Jawef Naya. Anuki Kasamun M Pa Pa'ut. Wu Pa Pa'ut Kawun Kasamun M Naya. Anuki Wahu Ama Pa Pa'ut. Wu Pa Pa'ut Kawun Wahu Ama Naya. Naku Kador Naju Ama Kasamun M Pa Pa'ut. Wu Khabu Ama Shikasun. Nakuk Kador Kawan Kale Pafaf Nakuk Daya Jawef Pa Pa'ut. Ama Wasu Ama Daya Ni Kawun Lake Bakui Jawef Pa Pa'ut. Anuki Yababi Nafasni. Pa Pa'ut Kawun. Anuki. Pa Pa'ut Kador. Nakuk Kador. Pa Pa'ut Amul. Nakuk Amul. Lahahum Manahnun. Layahum Manahnun. Anhum Ata Karahum. Anhum Ata Karakum. Anhum Ata Karanun. Anhum Ata Jawef Naya. Anhum Ata Naya Wu Anukihum. Ye Ashuk Ra'e. Asmua Jaye Nun. Ye Unataru Akfuk Nun. Anun Ata Kharaukum. Ye Unataru Akfuk Nun. Akfuk Nun. Akfuk Nun. Ye Unataru Nun. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Namaz or Wahu. Ye'u Mufaku. Yehu, Yehu, Ye unataru. Yesaye, Yesaye, Ye unataru. Yehika, Yehika, Ye unataru. Entkum ata pa mufaku. Yehu, Yehu, Ye unataru. Entkum ata pa mufaku. Wu enun ata kharaukum. Wu enkum ata yasanun. Yehu, Yehu, Ye unataru. Akfush muklas num atum re'e. Yehu, Yehu, Ye unataru. Namaz or atu. Akfush enhu. Ye unat muktan u akfut nun. Entkum maneh yakat laduda salafunun. Wu yasa unun. Maneh yakat sawura pa ba'ah. Maneh yakat kawuna ka'u. Maneh yakat ata akh. Maneh yakat kawuna basha wu damam. Ye unataru muktam unun. Akfush muftad nun. Enhu kawun munzab maneh pa nataru. Akfush enhu. Enhu kawun baba yananan. Akfush enhu. Enhu kawun atum re'e. Akfush enhu. Enhu kawun khafush. Namaz o talu. Ye unataru salafunun. Akfush nun maneh pa mujwa'u. Akfush nun maneh takwan. Ye unataru akfush nun. Maneh saya kayara. Akfush nun akfush naya. Akfush nun akfush naya. Ye unataru nun. Namazo rabu pa tashun. Nakuk talub tashun bi pa nataru. Maneh pa laen lawi tananu. Kala ranam atni ata lahe pa nataru. Wu kala namazo atni ata lahe kayat iyatun laye pa nataru. Pa sawab wu pa tarak. Panan safa kawun. Pa sawab wu pa tarak. Zi kawuna nazula lahe entkum. Maneh saba'at wu sa'at. Ama haday enun wu shafayun. Maneh salafukum wu nataru. Aju laye nafasukum. Afuk shane kawunkum. Pa sawab wu pa tarak. Pa hadayan wu pa shafay. En nun tawo enkum. Laye panan shafay wu alaj. En nun tawo enkum laye laheh tem nasuinun. En nun tawo enkum laheh ashukuma. Enkum ata salafunun. Enun ata kharaukum. Enun talub nasakuma. Enun talub nasakuma. Ensonun sayim nataru. Ensonun salafunun. Enun ata muspa'u. Anun atum atum amun. Ye unataru nun. Ye mufta'u. Ye unataru. Ye atum re. Ye nata. Ye nun. Ye nata. Ye nun tat. Ye nata tat. Ye ha. Ye nata. Ye hatat. Ye nata tat. Ye kak. Ye nata. Ye kaktat. Ye nata tat. Ye amun. Ye nata. Ye muntat. Ye nata tat. Ye umufkem uye. Ye nataru. Ye atum. Ye nata. Ye shawah. Ye nata. Ye tafaf natat. Ye nata tat. Ye sabab. Ye nata. Ye natat. Ye nata tat. Ye ashtat. Ye nata tat. Ye asar. Ye nata. Ye nabab tahatat. Ye nata tat. Ye satach. Ye nata. Ye hara. Ye nata. Nataru shalil pa meye. Ye haptwi. Ye nata. Ye anaktat. Ye nata tat. Ye ha haratwi. Ye nata. Nataru shalil pa nawar. Ye nafartum. Ye nata. Ye menthu. Ye nata. Ye babti. Ye nata. Ye sakhamtat. Ye nata tat. Ye hata haratat. Ye nata tat. Ye ba ibis, yenata. Ye fa, yenata. Ye bastat, yenata tat. Ye empatat, yenata. Nathara shalilpa hawaii. Ye enhu, yenata. Ye matat, yenata. Ye mahat, yenata. Ye kafree, yenata. Ye mishchinat, yenata. Ye rayetat, yenata. Ye chentimentiu, yenata. Ye hika, yenata. Ye natata, yenata. Ye maat, yenata. Ye hranenta, yenata. Ye shay, yenata. Ye sashai, yenata. Ye maftat, yenata. Nataro shalil pa taha. Ye sabak, yenata. Ye anap, yenata. Ye khanum, yenata. Ye khanas, yenata. Ye fanun, yenata. Ye saye, yenata. Ye haktat, yenata. Ye amas, yenata. Ye saraptwi, yenata. Ye atum ree, yenata. Ye tahutwi, yenata. Ye fawarat, yenata. Ye sakata, yenata. Ye ha, yenata. Ye nahebkaa, yenata. Ye sakar, yenata. Ye ba'ah, yenata. Ye akar, yenata. Ye mharatat, yenata. Ye wapabatat, yenata. Ye sakahataptat, yenata. Ye meritat sakatat, yenata. Ye saye, ye sayetat, yenata. Ye garata, yenata. Ye asat inu, yenata. Ye bahata, yenata. Ye khanamta, yenata. Ye manakta, yenata. Ye khamem, yenata. Ye mahatwi, yenata. Ye kabef senen afaf, yenata. Ye da mata afaf, yenata. Ye meritat, yenata. Ye nisat, yenata. Ye imdadata, yenata. Ye nakakbata, yenata. Ye sakata, yenata. Ye anakta, yenata. Ye dadad, yenata. Ye tum, yenata. Ye wahu, yenata. Ye yasis, yenata. Ye anahu, yenata. Ye afterwit, yenata. Ye satat, yenata. Ye sakatwi, yenata. Ye maat, yenata. Ye nana, yenata. Ye mnuet, yenata. Ye msataktwi, yenata. Ye mukdaltat, yenata. Ye rahashafaf, yenata. Ye maratwi, yenata. Ye mun re'e, yenata. Yehu Anun Ata Kaleh Jawef Baut. Okay. All right. So at the beginning of all of our sessions, we will be going through these prayer systems. And hopefully, when you guys are comfortable and you guys become familiar with the Lahaj, which means language, you guys will follow the prayer systems with me. The goal, if we can get 100 people, 1,000 people on these discussions, as many as we can, if we can get everybody saying these prayer systems, because our prayer systems supposed to be chanted. All right, hold on for a second. My screen went out. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Let's see. Now let's see. Screen went out for some reason, but that's okay. Okay. Let's see. Want to make sure Kabete, my sound is okay? Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, so what I was talking about was wanting for everyone who comes in, obviously in the beginning of the, and Rahul back to all you guys for everyone who just came in, but excuse me. So we're going to be doing the prayer systems for you guys who want to participate. Again, like I said, I'll send it out to anyone. I'll email it. You guys could put your information in the comment section, your email, and for those who don't have it, I'll send it out. But like I was saying before, we should be doing these prayers 3 times a day: 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m. for for vibration purposes. Our whole goal is to convert our morphic resonance. One of the things we've talked about is getting our morphic resonance back in order. Right. This is our goal, to get our frequency back in order, and so uh, that's important, right? And so every week we'll be going through those things. Now, I wanted to get into our core principles, right? We talk about our core principles every week. The core principles of Wu Sabat. And hold on, let me adjust my screen here for a moment so you guys can better see. And that should be better. Now, the core principles of Wu Sabat / Wu Nawap. And we talk about this every week. The first core principle that we try to focus on and introduce you guys to is Ashak, right? Ashak, which is dealing with divine love, the power of love, and the whole. Nothing's going to go right until we get back into the power of love, or what we call Ashak. This is the ultimate goal of all students of Wu Sabat, is to get back into this spirit force, this powerful force. That this is where we get our power from. This is where we get our strength from. Is staying in harmony and in tune with this power, with this love force energy. Is learning how to tap into this love force energy, what you call Asha. And the way you do it and how you tap in is through going into the blackness, the meditated mind, into that tranquil state, into that state of harmony and bliss and power. It's learning to keep yourself in that state even while you're in your waking moments and as you're dealing in life, so that nothing, no negative forces can penetrate you. You got to build what the master teacher always taught us, a psychic self-defense against negative forces, negative spirits that are inside you, and those forces that are on the outside trying to penetrate you. And you have to stay in this frequency, the power of love. That is so important because it is through the frequency of the power of love is how you maintain your focus. This is how you maintain your sound reasoning. This is why people decision-making skills are horrible, because we're constantly in a negative state. We're constantly in a depressive state. We're constantly in a frustrated state, and we can't make sound decisions. We can't make intelligent decisions because we don't know how to maintain a state of serenity, a state of calmness, a state of peace, so that when we're making decisions, our decisions are always sound and they reason out. When you're in a state of a shock, your mind is clear. Your brain synapses are firing, the electrical energies in the mind is firing at its highest vibrations. But when you're in a state of frustration, when you're in a state of fear and sadness and anger and pain, you can't think. It shuts down your thought process. So this is why we're trying to explain to you, nothing will get done until we learn to tap into that frequency. And if you're an individual who cannot control your temper, you have to practice getting into that state, going into the blackness, doing it at least 3 times a day, anywhere from a half hour to an hour. Just sit in blackness and darkness and blank your mind. You have to practice this. It takes about anywhere about 3 months to condition your body to learn how to stay in that state. And I guarantee once you practice that and you do develop it, you'll actually begin to feel an energy field that's around you and inside you. So keep that in mind. The next principle is resurrection. Our whole doctrine is about resurrection. This is the whole purpose of our doctrine. And this is something that I try to remind all, right? I try to remind all. And in fact, I always like to go over this because this is the whole basis of our whole doctrine. This is the purpose of what Panabab Yanann came to teach. Is resurrection information. Now, this is the right knowledge scroll. For those who don't know, this is the right knowledge scroll. And this is the updated version of the right knowledge scroll for those who don't know. And this updated version came out like in 2000, 2001. Okay. Now, it was a 4-part series. And in the beginning of each series, he says the same thing. And I need you guys to be very clear on that. Okay. Says the same thing, and I'm going to read it. The master teacher speaking says, I have devoted my visit to this planet to the resurrection of the mentally dead, which I affectionately refer to as mummies. Never did I know that the evil one had done such a great job with these people, both mentally and physically, as to have them hate self and kind. My greatest dilemma and hindrance has been the black devil, born amongst you and by you, married to you, socializing with you, and praying in the same sacred houses of worship as you. But secretly, they have a spiritual pact with the devil, which makes it near impossible for them to totally surrender to NoopooH. But for the few chosen from the many called, I sift to find those beings that wish to become one with the supreme in all. So I, the supreme Gram Hierophant, Amun NoopooH, as I'm known throughout the mystic schools, the incarnation of Tahuti, student of the great tomb, known as Atum Re'e, the first point of resurrection. The master teacher is the first point of, he is the firstborn of the dead. That's what that means. He's the first among us who has been restored to his oversoul. From ignorance to right knowledge, to right wisdom, and right understanding, I have blended with each of the religions most interesting to my people. I have lived as one of them, practiced as one of them, in order to reveal the misconceptions of these doctrines that have plagued and diseased the minds of my people. So that is to make it very clear what the master teacher's purpose has always been. It's always been about resurrection. And resurrection, we're gonna really home in on that subject, a lot, and we're gonna deal with it today, right? Again, because our whole doctrine is about resurrection. If you're not trying to develop yourself, which is about becoming gods again, and the way you do that is by opening up your third eye, learning how to open up your third eye, right? So our whole doctrine is based around resurrection. Now, the third principle is Ma'at and the wisdom of the Hutui. Ma'at and the wisdom of the Hutui. Very important principle. Next is relationships, right? We as Africans always lived as communities. When the European has conquered the world within the last 500 years, he destroyed our form of community living. And he created global capitalism that is plaguing and destroying the planet. And the only way to fight global capitalism is for our people to get back to this form of living, to live of, for, and by each other, where we're working in harmony with nature again, and working for the betterment of everyone, of all, right? The fifth principle is morphic resonance / matrix. Morphic resonance / matrix. All of existence is based on vibration, sound, frequency, right? Color. That's morphic resonance. And we're going to be dealing with that in detail, as well as matrix. Things, the material manifestations based on matrices. Next principle, number 6, is soul and spirit, the life force of existence. Everything that has a living life force is a spirit. That's a spirit. Not everything has a soul, but everything that is alive has a spirit. We as African people, those who are African with woolly hair by nature, all have souls because we come from the original source, the original creative source, nine ether, right? And soul is a derivative for sun. We're children of the sun. We came directly from the sun as incarnations. That is what it's all about, tapping back into our oversoul. We talked about this again numerous times before. Let me see this picture right here. This is the book we put out. The master teacher put this book out probably back in 1994. This is a book. Again, I'm going to show you the beginning of it. What is soul or spirit? What is soul or spirit? And this book, like I said, I believe came out in exactly 1994. For those who can see it right there on the screen. 1994. What is soul and what is spirit? Okay. And the master teacher, this is a revised copy because he first introduced the difference to us back in the 70s. Okay. And the goal is connecting with your oversoul. You have your physical body and you have your spiritual body. You have your physical body and you have your spiritual body. And this is what we're saying. Our people are not in harmony with their spiritual body, your oversoul. That's what resurrection is all about. The whole goal is being able to to link up with your oversoul. Once you connect to your oversoul, your memory will be restored. Our people forgot our origins, our memories of who and what we really are. And the goal is to raise up yourself spiritually enough, raise your vibration so you can become one again with your oversoul. This is the whole goal of our doctrine. But you have to activate all of the energy centers in your body. As African people, we have 9. As African people, we have 9 major energy centers. Because I know for those who are studying any type of other people's spiritual doctrine, they talk about 7. The Hindus talk about 7. They have 7. We have 9. And you have to learn how to activate your energy centers, okay? Because you have these energy fields that surrounds the body and it's inside the body. Remember, the body is made of energy, protons, electrons, and neutrons, subatomic particles. Okay. Remember, material matter was created by energy, not the other way around. Material matter is created by energy. So you existed as energy before you materialize as material. I repeat, material creates matter. Matter comes from energy. Energy creates matter. Energy creates matter by slowing down its vibration and produces material things. So we existed as energy beings, and then we slowed down in vibration. And that's how matter manifests. And it creates what is known as your matrix. And so we're going to get into a lot of, but you guys see the energy fields surrounding the body that I just showed you. Energy fields that surround the body, and these energies, you are that energy. Okay. This is why if you study people who learn how to go out of body, you're going out in your energy body. You're able to separate from your body. These are things we used to know how to do at will, and we forgot. We forgot how to do it. But again, you can learn how to do it. You have to re-educate yourself how to develop yourself spiritually. This is what our whole doctrine is all about. Okay, this is something our ancestors did. In fact, I want to show you a couple of videos that deals with this about developing yourself. I talked about this before. Okay. And I said this was something that our ancestors in South Africa, they know how to do this. They understand how to go out of body. They still have that science. Okay. They still know that science. And so This is something I again, like I said, in South Africa, our ancestors, the San tribe, is who we all genetically descended from. All Africans come from the Sans tribe, the first ones. They still understand the science of developing themselves spiritually. And this is a report that was on the History Channel. So I want you guys to kind of check this out to give you some insight on that. So I'm gonna play it for you.
The Kalahari Desert.
Okay. Now we got to deal with this commercial.
South Africa. Here, the native San Bushmen hold elaborate fireside rituals lasting for hours into the night. During these ceremonies, their shamans perform what's known as a trance dance, through which they reach an altered state of being and access other dimensions.
The trance dance is thought to activate an energy in their body called noom. And this energy opens a portal of sorts that enables them to travel into the spirit world. And when the Bushmen activate this energy, they're able to put their hands in the fire without being burned. They can see vast distances, and it's as if in every way, shape, and form, they're transformed into super powerful beings.
By accessing the power of noom energy, it is believed that a shaman who can extract illness, see the insides of the sick, and travel out of their own body to the land of the gods.
This numma goes up the body, and then often it goes out of the crown of the head, and that's usually when the out-of-body experience occurs, and they travel to the spirit world. I've seen a Bushman put a coal in his mouth, and he wasn't burnt. They put their heads in the fire, and although their hair might singe and even catch fire, their face won't be burnt. So something is happening with this numma energy. They call it boiling energy. It's almost like there's a vibrational change in the whole body and probably in their DNA in some way.
Could the so-called noom energy really be inherent in shamans, accessed only while in a sort of dream state? And is it possible that the genetic makeup of these medicine men is what allows them to access other dimensions?
The San Bush people have a tradition that they are the first tribe ever created. They're the oldest people in the world. DNA tests have shown that they probably are, that all other cultures and all other peoples that spread throughout the world came originally from where the San people are now.
When we look at the San Bushmen and we see the clear genetic evidence that they are the primordial seed of human civilization and life on Earth, it is possible that their DNA is especially well equipped to have this potential to access these non-ordinary states of consciousness, which may in fact be a key to physically journeying into them, giving these people the ability to do things that most of us seemingly cannot.
Okay. So you guys see it right there, right? You guys see it right there. And this is a reality, right? This is an ability that we have always had, but we forgot. We forgot this knowledge. And the whole point of our doctrine in this day and time, the whole point of what we're teaching in Wu Sabat is to re-educate ourselves about our culture, to re-educate ourselves about our abilities, you know, our natural spiritual abilities that we used to know. And this is the whole point of what we're doing in our doctrine. Now, someone asked a question. Sans tribe were taught by the Natharu. Yes, the Sans tribe was taught by the Natharu. So that's a definitely yes. The Sans tribe was taught by the Nathar, and they come from the Nathar in essence, and so we all are one. We all are the descended children of the Nathar, and these are our spiritual sciences. And this is the whole point of the teachings of Wu Sabat. This is what the master came to teach: how to develop yourself and how to learn how to make contact again. And so, as you just saw in that little documentary, it was talking about how they were able to make contact, right? And what they was able to go to other dimensional realities and make contact with our ancestors. And that is an ability that all African people have. We just don't know how to develop ourselves spiritually in order to be able to do that. And that is the whole goal of our teachings, is to re-educate ourselves so that we can learn how to restore our spiritual knowledge once again. And so this is the whole goal. And this is why there's such a core point of our principles. Now, getting back to our principles, soul and spirit, and number 7 is Leviathan. Leviathan is what's stopping us from raising up and resurrecting, because of the culture of Leviathan, which is called moon culture, aka religious culture, aka Western culture. Okay, their culture is the opposite of being in harmony with natural nature, the opposite of cooperative existing, right? Living of, for, and by each other. Their whole culture is totally opposite to our culture, which is our culture is Wu Sabat. Their culture, which is Leviathan, it's totally against being in harmony with nature. It's totally against. It's an artificial based culture. Everything about their culture is synthetic. Everything. And so their culture has no interest in being in tune with nature. And that's called moon culture. Right? Religion was created to make you not spiritual. Religion is the opposite of spirituality. It is to disconnect you from your spiritual nature. It's to disconnect you from your spiritual abilities. And this is what our doctrine has been focused on teaching. This is the whole basis of Western culture. Okay? The whole basis. And so we're gonna have a lot of discussions on Leviathan. You guys must understand that the principle of Leviathan inside out. And Leviathan has been plaguing the forces of Leviathan. The spiritual forces of Leviathan has been plaguing the earth for the last 17 million years, guys. That's how long. This is why you guys have to be educated about the principles of the SMAT circle, right? Which is number 9. Now, number 8, as you see, is health. Health. Okay. What is positive health? Being in good health is first having a positive mind. Having a positive mind. Our people are so negative today, and it's one of the main causes of all of our health problems, our negative mind, which creates stress. Stress is like one of the number 1 causes of disease, stress in the body. Your first step is a positive mind. You have to maintain a positive mind. Next thing towards health is sunlight. We don't get enough sunlight. Our energy comes from the sun. This is why we're melanated people, children of the sun, and we're constantly indoors away from the sun. Our energy comes from the sun. And for all our family that live in cold areas, cold regions, it's not in our best interest to be in environments that are cold. Right? Which is why we come from Africa, the land of the sun. We lose power when we're not in the sun. So the key to health is sunlight, perpetual sunlight, water, right? Lots of water. The body is what? 70% plus water. So water is key. Water is life. Next key to health, fasting. This is a part of, I told you guys before, the Muslim, the fast of Ramadan, which is actually going on right now. The fast of Ramadan was an Egyptian tradition. It was an Egyptian ritual. It was a ritual of our ancestors. We fasted 30 days out of the year. You must reintroduce fasting into your life. In fact, one of the principles we teach is to fast on the day that you were born. So for me, for instance, I was born on a Wednesday. So it's supposed to fast every Wednesday. That's a principle that we teach. Okay. But it's to at least introduce fasting into your life at least one day out of the week. Learn to develop it. These are all the things that help you towards developing yourself spiritually. Next principle of health is a herbal diet. Of course, we live in America, and as I say, we've been introduced to a poison diet, and this is where people like Dr. Sebi comes into play, or Layla Africa comes into play. All of our health professionals that focus on health. I recommend studying those brothers and sisters. I think we got Queen of Ford. We have a lot of individuals that focus on health. Next thing is exercise. Your body has to have regular daily exercise. You have to have your blood. Exercise gets the heart pumping, right? A cardiovascular exercise gets the heart pumping, getting the blood flowing from the head to the toes. That's extremely important. It charges the cells. Exercise charges your cells. That's the key principle to health. Next one is rhythmic breathing. Learning how to breathe in rhythm. We put out a book on these principles. We put out a book. Let's see if I can find it, called The Breath Book. Pa Yafach Mishfa in our language. Pa Yafach Mishfa. The Breath Book. How to breathe. Breath is life. Breath is life. There's a proper way to breathe. We don't know how to breathe anymore. There was a proper way to breathe. In fact, this was taught in ancient Kemet. They call it the Book of Breathings. Look it up. These are principles that our ancestors taught. In fact, in a lot of when they dug up a lot of our ancestors, unfortunately, in the tombs, in their sarcophagus, and they found the mummy called the Caucasians called the ancient, the Book of the Dead. They also found the Book of Breathing in these tombs, where it was teaching about the science of breath. So for all of those who want to say we got it from Hindus, that's a lie. The Hindus got that knowledge from us. Okay, and that's a whole nother subject when these guys try to say the master teacher's plagiarizing. No. For those who know about that storyline about the breath book, no, the so-called people that put it out, this Mukasu that put it out, that was plagiarized doctrine. Most of the stuff that the Mukasu was putting out on metaphysics back in the 1800s, all of that stuff was plagiarized doctrine that came out of either India or Kemet. And all the Hindu doctrine comes out of Kemet, comes from us, because we taught them. Oh, to address the question in the chat about the vortex opening up on the 23rd, yes, the vortex opens up on the 3rd of every decade, right? So yes, the vortex is opening up on the 23rd. It is an opportunity for those who develop themselves spiritually to make contact. There are no one get on any ship until you correct. As the master keeps saying, you have to turn yourself inside out. That's the only way you'll be able to get on these crafts. That's the only way you'll be able to communicate with the Nathar. Everyone this is what I'm trying to say. You have to open up your third eye. There's no way physically you'll be able to deal with the trip on these crafts, because they go through wormholes. There's no way your body, you wouldn't be able to handle the trip that on and go to the dimensions that the Nathar is going to take us to. There's no way to do it. You have to develop yourself. That was the whole point of the land that the dragon took from us. The point, it was our whole doctrine, again, as I'm trying to explain, is about developing yourself spiritually. Okay. And we're supposed to be doing this as a body, as a group. It's very difficult to do it as individuals. That's why I'm trying to, get you guys introduced into the prayer system, right? So in the beginning of our discussions here, we're doing the prayers. Hopefully we can start doing that as a unison every day. Okay. Now we have our prayer systems that's supposed to be done at 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m. The whole point is for synchronicity. It doesn't even matter where you are physically, anywhere around the world. If we start meditating at those times, and as far as doing our prayer systems at that time, we will link up spiritually. We will link up spiritually, provided we hit the right tones, the right frequencies in our prayers. That's why I have to make sure you guys know the proper enunciation of the language, of the words. And so I'm trying to go over those prayer things with you guys, because it's about learning to recalibrate your body. Okay? You have to learn how to recalibrate your body to your natural tone, to be in harmony with your spirit body. The goal is to get your physical body in harmony with your spiritual body. The goal is to get your physical body in harmony with your spiritual body, right? That's the goal, okay? And so the key to health, all of these things is what develop proper health, right? So we talked about exercise. We just talked about rhythmic breathing and meditation. We talked about meditation. That's how you tap into the power of love. Meditation is clearing the mind, going into blackness. Learning to clear the mind and go into blackness. That's what meditation is about. No thoughts. Clear your mind of all thoughts. And this is the goal towards booting up to your super conscious mind. That's your oversoul. And to become one with that. Right? The other key to health is concentration exercises. Our people don't know how to focus. Concentration exercises. You must learn how to focus. To put your mind on one particular goal, objective, thought, and stay to that until you accomplish that goal. Like we supposed to be unrelentingly focused on how to get Panabab out, how to get the master teacher out of there, but we keep getting distracted. We keep getting sidetracked because we haven't learned how to focus. The other key to health is prayer. As you guys see, prayer is one of the keys to health. Prayer is about learning to make communication with your ancestors, the Nathar, with your Salafu, to speak to your ancestors. They are watching. They monitor this dimension. We used to know how to make contact to them. Now because our third eye is closed, you can't see them and you can't hear them. That's what these rituals are all about, learning how to hear them again, right? So the goal, prayer is speaking to them. Meditation is listening to them. Again, prayer is learning how to speak to them, and meditation is learning how to listen to them. And meditation, the one of the things they say, meditation, the key to meditation is what you call conscious sleep. It's like when you're asleep, you lose consciousness. Right? Meditation is putting your body in a sleep state, but your consciousness is still aware. That's what meditation is about. It's a technique on learning how to go out of body. It's one of the things they teach when you start studying how to go out of body, is learning how to, when your body goes into that sleep state, but you maintain your consciousness and you move your consciousness and your spirit body out of the physical body. And those are one of the techniques on how to maintain consciousness, right? Is again, like I said, clearing the mind. Concentration obviously is learning how to focus on a specific subject or task or goal, and hold your mind to that, and so that you can accomplish, overcome any goal, any obstacle. Right? That's what concentration and prayer. And the last key to health is chanting. Learning how to chant. right? So we have a lot of chants that we say in our lahaj, which is language. Our lahaj, we chant in our lahaj. One of the chants that we were introduced is, and I'll put it up for you guys, is Pa'ut Kawun Huhi, and you chant that Pa'ut Kawun Huhi, 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 Pa'ut Kawun Huhi. And as you do that in rhythm, it actually it stimulates your cells in the body, and it stimulates the pineal gland. That's one of the keys towards opening up the third eye, is through perpetual chanting. We also chant the Om, right? Om. 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 Once you learn how to properly do that, you actually will feel your whole body vibrating. You'll actually feel your whole body vibrating once you learn how to properly do that. And then you'll actually feel you once you develop these techniques, you'll actually begin to feel the energy field, because there's an energy field all around us. And is learning how to tune yourself to that frequency, to that energy field. Okay. And so the goal is learning to recalibrate the body to get yourself to that state, to get yourself into that harmony. Because like I said, what is your goal? Your goal is to get your physical body, your cells, in harmony with the spirit body. That's your goal. But it has to be practiced. Right? You have to practice this. It takes anywhere from 30 to 90 days consistently to begin to learn how to tap in to your spirit body, your energy body. Okay? And the last principle is Pa'ut. I put them together. You have Pa'ut, you have the Smat, and you have right? Pa'ut is the creative force, and the creative force exists in cycles, which is the Smat. And that force is that's the energy of all existence. And this is the source of the 9 mind and the 6 ether mind. So all of these principles must be comprehended. All of these principles must be understood, so you know how to put them into practice. Now, these principles, as you know, as I try to do, I try to go over these principles each and every week. Again, this is the whole key. The whole goal is about what? Resurrection, right? Our whole agenda is about resurrection. Okay. And one of the things I want to get into is on the subject matter. And dealing with the master teacher, his goals, his purpose, his objective. Like I said, his goal, his purpose, objective is resurrection. And it is 3 things, 3 specific attributes the master represents. And he put it in this particular actual fact, this book called Pa Hade'en, which is the guidance. Pa Hade'en, which means the guidance. Actual facts number 45, right? And first page, it says this: Laha enkum aye mara marura kharadu, which is, for you all, my beloved children, you may ask, and just what is true guidance, and who is the true guide? I will say, Pa Muhde, the guide, was Laduda, born in Napata in the year 1845. He's talking about his great grandfather right here. His pictures right here. As-Sayyid Muhammad Ahmed Al-Makdi, who was born in 1845, and he transitioned in 1885. Okay. He transitioned in 1885. And for those who don't know, the Mahdi, he didn't die. He actually rose up out of his physical body. and he left spiritually. He literally rose up physically. He rose up spiritually out of his physical body, and he left his physical body to die. And he went into the realm of the Nathar. People thought he died, and Mukaso made up some lie that he died of some illness. The Mahdi did not die no darn illness. The Mahdi literally left. That man conquered. First of all, he conquered the British and the Egyptians, right? Liberated Sudan. And what he realized, the people wasn't listening to him. Now, this guy was a ruler of the Sudan, and he lived in a cave. Now, think about this. Look up the Mahdi. The man was the ruler of Sudan, and he lived in a cave. Isn't that deep? Which means he had no interest in dealing with mortals. Because, again, the Mahdi was a mystic, right? He was a mystic. He was what they call the masters that they call him a Kharama. He was a part of the Khalawati order in the Sudan of the Sufis. And for those who know anything about the Sufi order, the Sufi goes back to ancient Kemet. They go back to the mystical schools of ancient Kemet. Okay, but now let me go on. It says here on page 2, and it was recorded in his Za'am of Ansarul al-Islam. He's talking about the Mahdi, that after him in 100 years will be born Pa Mujdaor, the reformer, Pa Munzaor, the warner. That would be 1945, and myself, right? Pa Nabab Yananan, born of his own bloodline, son of his son's son, to reform and renew the teachings as the Quran expired. Surely Allah, exalted and magnified, will raise for the nation a renewer at the beginning of every 100 years to renew religion. This was a prophecy that the master fulfilled. He was born 100 years after the Mahdi as the Mujaddid to reform our ancient ways, a Wu Sabat, a Wu Nawat. It goes on to say the Mahdi of the East was born in 1845, and the Mahdi of the West, I was born in 1945. That is 100 years after the Mahdi. And so the master teacher is of that descendancy of the Mahdi, right? Which is his great-grandfather. Or, yeah, his great-grandfather, the Mahdi. And he came 100 years after the Mahdi. Now, the master teacher represents 3 principles, he just said. I have it right here. He's the Mujdad or Pa Mujdad or, which means the reformer, right? The reformer has taught us our ancient culture of how to live in harmony with natural nature. That was his job. That's his goal of the reformer, to reform us back to our original culture, right? To reform us back to our original culture, which is Wu Sabat, Wu Nawat, to be in harmony again, to live in harmony with natural nature based on the principles of Ma'at, right? Based on the principles of Ma'at, by learning the wisdom of Tahuti. That's what Panabab came to teach. As the Mujaddid and as the Munzaor, the warner has told us about the changing cycles, the dimensional shift, and Leviathan, and how our ignorance of these things have affected our lives in a negative way. As the warner, he came to teach us about the cycles. This was the ending of the moon cycle, which ended in the year 2000, which was the end of the Mukaso's rulership. And we were supposed to be ready to regain our rightful place as rulers, but we weren't ready yet. We were supposed to be resurrected by then. Unfortunately, we still wasn't ready. And he's been warning us. He's warned us about the dimensional shift. He warned us about Leviathan, about the children of Leviathan, which is the Illuminati, the children of light, the children of chaos, and their culture and their destructive ways, and the fact that of us continuing to live their culture. He warned us that they are slighted for destruction, and all those who live this culture with them are going to be a part of the same, unfortunately, destructive things that have happened. That's why all these curses on the planet, the viruses, the earth changes, the earthquakes, the tornadoes, the tsunamis, the hurricanes, the mudslides, the sinkholes, the list is, innumerable. All of the diseases that are out there that our people are suffering from. These are all of the curses. Read Revelation chapter 18. Read Matthew's in the Bible, chapter 24. All of those are prophecies. Again, remember, the Bible, all that stuff was stolen knowledge from Kemet, right? The last principle of the master represents Pa Muhde, the guide. As the guide, he has shown us how to open our third eye so that we would become one with our oversoul. He showed us how to make contact with Pa Natharu. The same abilities he had to make contact, he was teaching us how we can make contact. Right? He taught us how to build our own nation based on justice. How to build our nation based. That's what he came to guide us in these particular principles, these ways of life. And unfortunately, our people, these things our people don't know. They don't know anything about their spiritual side, their spiritual nature, and why everything we're trying to do as a people around the world is not working for us effectively because we're handicapped. We're operating from a handicapped position. We're too materialistic, and we don't understand the other side of our nature. Our spiritual nature is supposed to be working in harmony with our physical nature. The physical and the spiritual supposed to link up, supposed to be in harmony with each other. That was the goal. There was the goal of our ancestors. That's when you become God. This is what our ancestors taught. Right? If you go to, let's see, you got this book, Stolen Legacy. I recommend this particular book. I think it's important due to the simple fact that this particular brother who wrote this book showed what our doctrine, what we was teaching in ancient Kemet, what the goal of our ancestors in their spiritual schools of knowledge, what their objective was. Because he was saying how the Greeks stole our knowledge, right? Our knowledge. And they called it, the Greeks called it nous, right? Nous. For those who know, for those who don't know, this is where it's really noon, not nous, but noon. That's why we will say wapu noon. Yeah, noon. That's why the master teacher, that is his attribute, his name. Yeah, noon. Our doctrine is noon doctrine. And when you go into this particular book, let's see. Here he's talking about one of the principles in the mystery schools, the goal of the mystery schools, and this was what the Greeks were teaching, right? Pythagorean theorem, for those who heard of it. This is what he was teaching the Greeks that he learned from Kemet, called the summum bonum, right? According to Pythagoras, it means the supreme good in man is to become godlike. This transformation is to be accomplished by virtue, which is a union of the opposites in man's faculties. The subordination of man's lower nature to his higher nature, raising up your higher self. So the goal, in order to open up your third eye, right? Humans are operating from their lower nature, meaning you're operating from your heart center all the way down to the buttocks, those energy centers. That's humans are operating from the heart, why we get so emotional, your stomach, why you eat so much, and the buttocks, the defecation, and your sex organs. All it is, uncontrolled, unfortunately, sexual behavior. And that's how humans are operating from. And you have to raise your energies and operate from your heart to the brain, right? To you have to as you say, activate those energy centers in you. Okay, you have to learn how to activate those energy centers, and that was the goal. Once you do that, you become God. So let me go back. It says here, says this transformation is to be accomplished by virtue, which is the union of opposites in man's faculties, right? The subordination of the lower nature to his higher nature. But the precise purpose of the Egyptian mysteries was to make man godlike by the purification agencies of education and virtue. Consequently, it is clear by Pythagoras obtained this doctrine directly from the Egyptian mysteries. Hence, it also follows that philosophers who have taught this doctrine must obtain it either directly from the Egyptian mysteries or indirectly through the teachings of Pythagoras. So this whole book is talking about how the Greeks stole our doctrine, right? That's what the whole book is addressing. He goes on to say, according to Sulla's deification or becoming godlike was the purpose of the Egyptian mystery. So the whole purpose of our mystery teachings, which is our spiritual teachings, was to become God again. Again, that's what I'm trying to say. Opening up your third eye, becoming one with your oversoul. That was the whole goal of our whole culture. Was surrounded based on that principle, right? He goes on to say, it says the Egyptian sumumbunum consists of 5 stages during which the neophyte developed from a good man into a triumphant master, attaining the highest spiritual consciousness by means of casting off the 10 bodily feathers and becoming an adept like Horus or Buddha or Christ, what they call the Christ consciousness. Right? This is our goal. Questions? Hold on. Okay, let me see what the question was. I made contact with beings. They've shown themselves many times. What must I do now? Question. The crabs have appeared on many nights, but I don't know what it all means, and I'm confused. Orbs have flown by. A light was pulsating outside my window. Flashes were above the house I was living at. Was chanting. Friends have seen the crabs by flying. Okay. All right. So now, interesting experience, right? We put a book out. Here's the thing. And I talked about this before. Unfortunately, and this is to address the brother's question. Unfortunately, I don't know if this book is accessible, right? The materialization, right? I talked about this book before. Okay. When you are doing spiritual work, now it's not just in this book. We put this in other books as well. Okay. What is your goal? What is your objective? The goal and the objective, obviously, is one, to make contact with your higher self. That's what this whole book is about. Actually, this whole book is about making contact with your oversoul and the rituals that you need to do to make contact with your oversoul. Okay. And at the same time, you will learn how to make contact with the Nathar. Now, let me just read this in this particular book. It says right here, all things are created in tones and octaves of energy and vibrations from the source, Amun. As I said before, in the name Amun itself, you again see the tone of the universe. as om, right? With the right amount of input, it will open up centers in the brain. These centers will cause all your glands to vibrate on a certain frequency and put you on a station where there is information being broadcast that you will be able to pick up and receive telepathically from your four higher senses, which is pa to pa ta jata, which is telepathy, Saphira, which is clairvoyance, Sachimetry, which is psychometry, and Hadsu, which is intuition. With this, the Etherians will speak directly to you and what steps to take, where to go when times get beyond repair and you manifest. You need to feel. And he goes on, here's the point. The goal is, right, you have to raise your energy centers up. Once you raise your energy centers up, you're able to open up your third eye. Now, if you depending, I don't know at what level you are. This particular brother who asked that question, I don't know at what stage you are. When your third eye is open, you should be able to see interdimensionally. Like when you close your eyes, other portals will open up once you develop yourself spiritually. Now, the goal is to get yourself to a state or a level where you can physically see the Nathar, where you can make contact with the Nathar to get information, because they are supposed to supply you with data on certain things you should be doing. It's the same thing they're doing with the master teacher. They're giving him updates. And you have the ability to make contact to get updates as well. And they will be telling you. So when you're doing your spiritual work, this is what your goal is. But again, I'm not there with you. So I don't know who you're making contact with and how that process is going, right? And what's happening. See, this is one of the challenges, like I said, when we're separated, as opposed to, us, being together. Because you also have to have discernment when you're dealing with spirit forces. So we got to keep that in mind, right? Because there's many different spirit forces out there, but you got to make sure you're in contact with your spirit forces, our bloodline, our ancestors, right? Because we're connected to them through the same vibrational frequency. We have the same frequencies. But this is one of the reasons why we say when we're doing our spiritual work, we do it in our lahaj, our language. Because it puts us on that, it puts us in alignment or in sync with our ancestors' tones. We all have those same tones, right? So we have to get our bodies, as the master teacher makes it clear, you got to get your body down to the A tone. And that's why we chant the Om chant. The Om gets it calibrates you to the A tone. When you get down to the A tone, then you connect to the F tone and the C tone. Now, the C tone is how you connect with the Nathar, and that's that h. That's why we have that KH sound in our lahaj, in our language. It has that h, and that's that C tone, right? So again, I don't know at what level that you are, but I am telling you, based on what we teach and what the master teachers taught us, the goal is you should be able to make contact with the Nathar. You will literally see them. You will hear them with your senses. Okay, once you get yourself spiritually developed enough. So again, I don't know at what level. Hold on, let me see. It said something else. Say craft. True. The latest feelings I've been having is something telling me to buy Egyptian statues and have them around me and have a clear room while chanting and keep them in as a visual link. I feel like the master teacher is reaching out. Okay, now we put out, the master teacher, if you guys can get access to this, we put out a whole series. The master gave through the Sons of the Green Light and the Ancient Mystic Order of Melchizedek. Now, that is outdated doctrine per se, but the rituals and the practices, certain things in there to make contact. So if you can get access to those particular books, and that is the Sons of the Green Light series, or the Ancient Mystic Order of Melchizedek series of books on our spirit. Those are specific books, excuse me, on how to develop yourself spiritually. Okay, those are specific books on how to develop your spirit. They're dedicated just for that. Now, well, the other thing is, I don't know if you guys have ever joined our sacred orders, and I don't know how long you guys have been in the doctrine. If you've been in the doctrine long enough to even have joined our orders, to even get access to those books. What did you say? Okay, perfect. So you have the OM lessons. Excellent. So in those particular OM lessons, right, is giving you all the necessary rituals. Is giving you all lessons. Okay. And those particular keys and rituals that the master set forth, because you know what your goal is. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what your goal is. Your ultimate goal is to, as I said before, to become one with your oversoul. That's your ultimate goal, your higher self. Not so much making contact with other beings, but so much being tuned with your higher self. That's what your ultimate goal is. Become one with to become one with your oversoul. That's what our whole doctrine is trying to teach, to open where your third eye is completely open. And what do I mean by that? Okay. How do you know it's open? You'll be able to see interdimensionally. First of all, you should, depending on where you are spiritually, right? You should be able to sense your own spirit energy. Okay. And you should be able to know how to speed up or slow down your spirit energy in your body. Because these are the beginning stages of learning how to control of the actual cells in your body. You'll be able to know how to do that. So I repeat, I don't know at what level that you're at to address that for you. Hold on. Go back over here. Right? I don't know. Hold on. Let's see. I'm a member of AEO since. Okay, so that's excellent. I have almost all the books, but in the beginning was confused just after reading more than 3 times. I understood 1%. Amazing. Okay, that's what's up. Okay, so now he says, okay, so you've been at so you have the you've been at AEO, which is great, and you have the own books, which is great. But now what's hard for me is to understand where you at where you are physically, spiritually, because I again, like I said, I don't know where where you develop that. But what I do know is in the particular books, especially in those OM lessons, right? It's telling you where you need to be and what are the different things you should be able to do, because we give specific rituals, right? In those particular books, because remember, what is the goal? The goal is to raise your morphic resonance up, to get your morphic field in harmony with your spirit body, meaning to get your physical body, your physical cells in harmony with your your spiritual body. But in order to do that, you got to become consciously aware of your spirit energy that's moving through your body, right? So that's one of the that's one of your first objectives, is become consciously aware of your spirit energy moving through your body. Once you become consciously aware of your spirit energy moving through your body, then you have to learn how to mentally control and activate that spirit energy moving through your body. And you'll be able to learn how to raise it and lower it at will, at mental commands. This is your goal. This is what you're practicing and learning how to do. Okay? So what I'm saying is, again, this is a process, right? This is a process. You guys, and this is not something overnight. And guys, let me say this as a rule of thumb and as a disclaimer: when you're doing spiritual work, I repeat, okay, this is no joke. When you're doing spiritual work, this is no joke. That's why I said the first principle that we deal with is a shock. You have to put yourself in the mindset of a shock, of divine love. You have to maintain a positive mind, because you guys, there's a reason why we're crazy today. We're crazy because we got a lot of negative spirit forces moving through us, and it's in our bloodline. It's in our bloodline. There's a few books you got to get that we put out. One is The Genetic Kiss. You guys must get that book and you must study it. The other book is The 30 Spirits. You must get that book and you must study it, about the spirit forces that are inside your genes, that was passed on to you from your mother and your father, who got it from their parents, who got it from their parents. This is why the Mukasu enslaved us, and he was raping us. He was raping our parents to put his spirit forces in us. That's a whole class we got to do just on genetics. And you got to understand your genes. And so you got to first understand the spirit forces that are moving through you, the positive ones and the negative ones. And you have to understand the difference between the non-ether spirit that you're trying to contact, the oversoul you're trying to become one with, because you got you got spirit forces. You got 6 ether forces in your genes, in your bloodline. They're the ones that give us all our bad habits. Okay. Now he said in the Mugaraj, it says being able to hear light energy is one of the first steps into higher. Where you read that? Where'd you read that in the Mugaraj book? Do you know what page you're getting that from? I like to see that. When it says here, if you're going, you're quoting from a particular book, I'm curious on seeing where did you get that from? Yes, find that page for me. I have the book right here next to me, and I'll look at what you're trying to say, what you're quoting, because I want to see what I want to see. Yeah, I want to see what you're talking about. About hearing it, because now let me say this. Okay, when you're doing spiritual work, each individual is different. I repeat, each individual is different. I repeat, each individual is different when you're doing spiritual work. Okay, that's very important, right? Because it's based on your everybody has their own morphic resonant frequency, which, as a master taught, your zero time reference. Everyone came into this planet at different intervals of time. You were born at certain different intervals in time. Certain star constellations have an influence on when you were born, right? Now I'm not talking those zodiac stuff that the Mukaso talk about. Okay, they again they stole they everything they stole from us, and then they just mess it all up because they don't know what they're talking about. But yes, star formations have an influence on you because that's how spirits come into this dimension, this portal, depending on the star constellation that you were born on. Okay, that you incarnate really the at conception of your parents, because it's not just your sign that you came out, right? What month, it's also your parents' signs. Because remember, you in order to create you had to get 23 chromosomes from your mudad, which is your father, and 23 from your mudatet, which is your mother. So those 23 and 23 made you 46. So half of your nature comes from your mudad, your father's side, and half of your nature comes from your mother's side. And then you have you. So 1/3 of you is your mudad, which is your father, and 1/3 of you is your mudatet, and then 1/3 is you, make up you, your own personality that you learn and develop as you grow through life. So you have natures from your mudatet, which is your mother. You have nature from your mudad, which is your father, and you have your own personal nature as you develop your own personality. So the first step towards spiritual development, like I said, is understanding you. Oh, like you got to understand what triggers you, because as I'm telling you guys, it's the negative mind, right? That these spirit forces, they feed on. You can't be doing spiritual work in a negative mind and stuff like that, in a state of lust and greed, and if you have those kind of desires moving through you, those are spirit disagree with spirit forces in your bloodline, in your DNA, and you got to purge all that stuff out of you. Okay, it's on page 38. All right, I'm gonna look at it right now. Okay, let's see. I'm at page 38. Let's see. The Nathar, or ancient ones, knew of the knowledge of Atum, Adam, yet another triad of names long before modern science came onto the scene. They knew enough to design an electromagnetic antenna called the pyramid. This pyramid was used as the house of initiation into higher levels of consciousness. For thousands of years, the system was the same as used in America in the 1930s by a student of the mystery system, a Venetian named Edward Liskinen, who worked with another Venetian named Nikola Tesla. Okay, so it just talks about those two. What version of it? Because this is because there was a couple versions. There were two versions. This is the new. I'm reading from the newer one. Do you have the newer one, or you have the old one? Let me see if you can see this. Hold on, let me. You can see what version I'm reading from. Okay, you see this? This was the newer one, the updated one. Do you have this one, or you have a or do you have a the one that is before this? Because I have both. Okay, you got the other one. Give me a minute. I'm gonna go get the other one. Okay, guys, I'll be right back. Okay, actually, we had 3 versions of that particular book. This is the first one. If you can see this one. Is it this one? Right? This one, this is the first edition that came out. This is the second edition that came out. That's the second one. So, okay, this is the one. Or this one. And this is the third one. This one, the second, this is the one you got? Okay, all right, perfect. All right, so let's go to page 38. Okay, it says page 38, and I have it marked too. It says its meaning is the uniting of the two directions of light energy so that one can pass on into the spiritual world and overcome the physical world. The first step one must take is to develop his sensing ability to see and hear light energy. At this point, he or she has begun his or her initiation into the high levels of consciousness. Yes, okay. Now, when you initiate you to, I mean, your arushat, what we call your chakras, right? As you're beginning to open it up, you will hear, it almost, you actually will hear like an engine sound almost. Okay. Now, different people hear the sound kind of differently depending on the, but you will hear, it almost feel like an engine, or you hear wind. You can feel wind, right? Now, when you're seeing, when you're dealing with the sight, as you're developing spiritually, yes, you'll actually begin to see. It's like an energy field, because this whole dimension is within an energy field, and you'll be able to see and sense that energy field. Okay, you'll be able to see and sense as you're raising your vibration up. So this is a process, right? This is a process. And again, as I want to remember everybody, anyone who's doing any kind of spiritual work, you must, whatever the environment that you do spiritual work in, it must be a clean environment. Whatever environment you're doing spiritual work in, it must be a clean environment. You must do bathing rituals. You must wash yourself before you do spiritual work. Make sure your body is clean. Make sure you have not engaged in any kind of sexual activity before you do spiritual work. You haven't engaged in any kind of bad food. In fact, you shouldn't, have eaten. Let's say, like some of the best times to do spiritual work is when you woke up in the morning, when you didn't eat, or late at night just before you go to bed, right? And you didn't eat 3 hours prior. Make sure that you don't have food trying to digest, because when food is in the system, it's using energy. Okay, those are important when you're doing spiritual work. An environment needs to be clean. The environment must be clean. The body must be clean. The mind must be clean and pure. A positive mind. You cannot go into spiritual work in a negative, depressive mind. That negative, depressive mind attracts negative spirit forces, right? Because spirit forces, fear attracts negative spirit forces. They feed off adrenaline. So these are principles you must be aware of when you're doing spiritual work. Whew. Okay, so as I was trying to say, in our discussions, what we're fighting is we're fighting Leviathan, and okay, question: to see and hear light energy. So the hearing is like an engine sound to say. It can be like an engine sound when you're hearing this, because almost like a wind, you hear wind as you're developing yourself spiritually, right? You'll sense these things. Like, first of all, your senses automatically is going to be heightened. Your senses automatically is going to be heightened as you're developing, as you're raising your vibration, because what happened is your physical body, remember, your physical cells, they're connecting to your spirit body. They're connecting, they're linking up, because the goal is to link them up where they're in total harmony with each other. That's why the Mukasu's culture, his whole culture, literally separates you from your physical and your spiritual, separates each other. They're not linked up. Barely linked up. We're like Walking Dead almost. That's why, unfortunately, because our people are not linked up, you're not connected to your oversoul. So when people die, most of our people are reincarnating because they can't connect to their soul. They're so attached to the material realm. They keep reincarnating. And obviously that's not your goal. Our goal is to be able to resurrect up to the higher dimensions, but you have to be in harmony with your soul force. Right? This is the whole goal of our mission is to link those two up, to be one with that. But this is a process. I can't stress this enough. This is a process. And it starts with positive mind. It starts with a shock. Right? Understand that. This is serious stuff when we're dealing with spiritual development. And we have a lot of internal fears and we have a lot of internal traumas. So you have to be mindful of that when you're getting into spiritual work, you can open up centers of fear and centers of trauma that you didn't even know exists. That's why you have to take your time with this process. I'm telling you guys from experience, okay? Take your time with this process. Be consistent. Stay focused. Okay? But this is a process. Now, going back to the portals opening up in the year 2023, that's an opportunity for those who are developed spiritually to literally meet the Nathar when those portals open up. But my first piece of advice to you in your spiritual work and spiritual journey, focus on connecting with Panabab Yananan on a spiritual realm. You have that ability. You can focus on connecting with Panabab Yananan on a spiritual realm. You also can focus on learning how to go out of body. If you can develop yourself where you can learn how to go out of body, then you can go to where Panabab is. You can literally transport your essence to where he is physically on earth. Fear blocks you from developing, being able to make contact with the spiritual realms. I repeat, fear cuts you off from the spiritual realms. That's why the Mukasu, he has to keep people in perpetual fear, always, threatening that, some burglar is going to get in your home and be afraid of Russia sending a nuclear warhead here, or if in religion, if you're not good, you're going to hell. And he's constantly keeping everyone in a state of perpetual fear. That's why nobody, there's no harmony in this society. Everybody's at odds with each other. always competing. That's why his whole society is based on competition, competing against somebody. Always someone trying to take out some other person. Always trying to beat some other person, and you feel in fear. Or when you lose, you feel depressed. In our societies, we don't do this competition thing, because it actually attracts negative spirit forces. Because it puts, now think about how many people lose. They lose in sporting arenas, right? For every team that wins something, there's a team that loses, and everyone who loses feels bad, right? And that's negative energy. Negative energy. And people are gambling, they're losing. People are doing all kinds of competitions and losing. You play the lotto, you lose, you feel bad. The Mukasu system keeps a negative energy field all over the whole planet, which is what this pandemic did. And that's why I said our people, unfortunately, is living in perpetual stress. They're living in perpetual stress. And that's what cuts you off from your spiritual development. That's what's cutting you off from your spiritual development is the perpetual stress energy that the Mukasu has our people living in. And so yeah. Yeah, that's exactly that's exactly why we call them the ghosts, the children of ghosts. That's why they make all them darn horror movies, right? Jason and Freddy Krueger and the what's that guy, the Halloween guy. They keep everyone in a perpetual fear. Everything is fear. You know, got cops. You know, they got us petrify the cops. That's why they like cops killing us, who keep us petrified. When you have a cop drive up behind you, you know, like, oh my goodness, you know, what did I do? He's checking your license plates. He you know, they keep us in perpetual fear, and that creates a negative energy over the whole planet. Poverty does that. and so he knows how to keep a negative energy field, and you got to break through it. You have to break through it. Their goal is to disrupt your thought process, and you have to break through that. You know, that's the whole point. Loud explosions underground and metallic sounds in the air. What's up with that? I haven't heard that. Well, I have heard that. To be honest with you, okay, there's a lot of things going on in this planet. Okay, you have crafts that are in the atmosphere, right? They're either cloaked or they're vibrating at a density level that the human eye can't pick up. So you have a lot of crafts in the atmosphere. Okay, and then you have these beings in the underground bases doing all kinds of stuff in the underground bases. So you have a lot going on this planet, and so you have certain people that could be sensitive, spiritually sensitive to these different things, and they can hear it, or they're tapped in. You know, their spirit vibration is connected to certain things, so they're hearing that. There's a lot of things going on in this planet that the humans are totally ignorant to. A lot that's happening that humans are totally ignorant to, you know, and we have to, you know, and I mean, this is our goal. We got to become conscious of these things. We have to learn to become conscious of all these things, because you know, this is a trying time. Like I said, this is the end of the cycle, beginning of another cycle, and so there's a lot of things that are happening in the world. As it says in the book of Malachi, this is the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Malachi, the book of Malachi, chapter 4, the great great for some, dreadful for others. And so there's a lot going on. It's great for those who have the right knowledge. It's great for those who have the facts. You know, we're blessed to have Wu Sabat. We're blessed to be taught all these things, but it's not so great for the people who are living in perpetual ignorance, you know. And a lot of our people, they're ignorant to what's really happening in the world. It's sad. They're so caught up in the Mukasa's world and his mentality. They're just ignoring reality. You know, they're ignoring reality. And in fact, I wanted to get into we ran out of time, but I'll pick it up next week. I wanted to get into you know, because we're as you can see, this whole discussion is about trying to get people clear on who Panabab Yannanen is, what his purpose is, what his goals are, his objectives, his mission, right? Which is about resurrection. And the forces that have been trying to stop him. These forces have been on this planet for the last 6,000 years. These forces have been on this planet for the last 6,000 years. And our people have to become very clear about these different forces, the forces of Leviathan. And there's some information I wanted to get into with that. I didn't have time, but next week we'll pick back up. We'll pick back up because you guys have to be very clear. You guys have to be very clear about the different forces that we're battling, that we're dealing with. These forces of Leviathan, and the systems that they set up to trap us, the systems they set up to put our people under this global hypnotic spell that our people are under, the spell of Leviathan, right? Leviathan, Levi, law, that comes from the Bible, right? Levi, law, Athan, Levi, which is the Levitical priesthood, deal with the laws. The book of Leviticus deal with the laws, and Athan, sin. And they talk about Leviathan being a serpent. Chapter 12, right? Michael and his angels fought the dragon. Who are the dragon? The dragons, the reptilians. They're the ones who are controlling the Mukasu, the dragon race, Leviathan, serpent, the serpent ones. And they live by what? Moon culture. Sin, Leviathan is the law of sin. Sin is an ancient name for the moon god. The moon god Sin. Look it up. The moon culture. And the moon culture, what is moon? Moon is a dead solar body, a dead universal body, has no life of its own. Dead culture, anti-nature, adverse to nature culture. That's the Mukasu's culture that our people are blinded by. They're obsessed with this moon culture. And so I just want to next week I'll go into some of that about how they set this moon culture up. One of the goals, and this goes back to the Greeks and it goes back to the Romans, something that the Romans did that you guys need to be very aware of and setting up this moon culture. And they've been on the lookout for Panabab for years. They've been on the lookout on that chosen one, that the first being that was going to be resurrected and who be teaching nature knowledge again. They've been looking for that being. Now they know who he is now, you know, that's why they trapped him. They got him hemmed up because they've been, you know, they have a whole day again, like the master said, they're trying to get an extension. Their rulership would end it in 2000. And they're trying to get a 2,000-year extension on this planet. So their whole goal is to stop Wu Sabat. What do you say? Panabab said we can change our bodies into a ship, and so we can travel ourselves once the vortex open. Yes, but that's why I said, in order to change, basically, what that really means is you're able to move the cells in your body in alignment with your spirit body. Literally, you can move your cells in alignment with your spirit body, and you can transform into pure energy, right? And you'll be, you know, you'll be like a muahu, appear in Ethereum. We have that ability. And that's why I said you have to first learn how to tap into your spirit energy that's inside and around you. Once you learn how to tap into your spirit energy that's inside and around you, then you can learn how to fluctuate that energy. It's a mental. Now, let me do this. The breath book. Okay, the breath book. Before I leave, real quick, it teaches you rhythmic breathing. You guys got to read that breath book, and you got to practice the exercises in that book. That will help you learning how to breathe in rhythm. That will help you learning how to tap into your spirit energy. Okay, that'll help you learn how to tap into your spirit energy. Is learning how to the breath, because you have to be aware of your spirit energy moving from your head, the brain, to your toes, and how to affect all parts of your body, from your fingers, your hands, right? Any part of your body, you should be able to move that energy to and raise it and lower it. Okay, but that's a process. I say again, that's a process. Okay. So on that note, we're gonna close out, and I'm gonna end with a prayer, the affirmation, and I will see you guys next week, right? I'll see you guys next week, and like I said, for you guys, definitely really need to learn these prayers. We should be saying them at those specific times, 9 a.m., 3 p.m., 9 p.m., so we can create synchronicity. That's the key. We can line up spiritually. We have to learn how to say these prayers, and so okay, we have to get our tones to line up. So let me do this. You said my sound? You hear me now? Okay, let's see. I'm going to end with this prayer. I'll be introducing you guys to different prayers as we go through these classes, but we're going to end with the affirmation, and then we're going to sign off, okay? Abdul Kalam Namasat Wubazun Amag Kasamun Afa Pa Put. Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk M Pa Put. Wu Kale Ashuk Kawun Jawef Naya. Anuki Kasamun M Pa Put. Wu Pa Put Kawun Kasamun M Naya. Anuki Wahu Amag Pa Put. Wu Pa Put Kawun Wahu Amag Naya. Nakuk Kodor Naju Amag Kasamun M Pa Put. Wu Khabu Amag Shikasun. Nakuk Kador Kawan Kala Pafaf Nakuk Daya Jawep Pa Ut. Amah Wasu Amah Dayani Kawun Lake Bakui Jawep Pa Ut. Anuki Yabab Bi Nafasni. Pa Ut Kawun. Anuki. Pa Ut Kador. Nakuk Kador. Pa Ut Amu. Nakuk Amu. Last one. Lahehum Manahnun. La yahum menahnun. Anhum ata karahum. Anhum ata karakum. Anhum ata karahnun. Anhum ata juef naya. Anhum ata naya wu anukihum. Ye ashuk ra'e. Asmua jaye nun. Ye unataru akfuk nun. Anunata kharaukum. Ye unataru akfuk nun. Akfuknun, akfuknun. Yeun natarunun. Anun. Atun. Atun. Wadu, yes, sir.